Join us in building our new path forward. Go to goldgraincoin.com and you can get your grains. Each grain is equal to 1 grain of gold. It's just like having gold on your cell phone. You can also participate in our Grains.bid auction site, where you can win grains at auction. It's an exciting way to get grains. You can win at up to 98% off. It's pretty easy. Just click the bid button. A few seconds will be added to the timer, and the price will increase by 1 penny. In the end, the highest bidder wins. Just pay the auction price and take your grains. It's pretty simple. Go register, buy your bids, and then bid to win. 3 ways in which you can get your bids. As I said, you can buy your bids at 50 cents a piece. Just open an account and go into the back office and purchase bids. You can win your bids at auction. There are several bid voucher packages in the auctions, and then you can bid and win. You can also get gifted bids. Participate in our referral program. Refer others to our grain auctions, and you will be gifted bids equal number to the bids purchased by your referral. It's that easy. Hope to see you there soon. So when we're talking about the people that have been placed here on this earth to do something, or they've chosen to come back, the light warriors, the woman that in that video was talking about, right? And she did a very good job of laying out the issues that this is, why this is a prison planet, what I have so in learning about these things, so you mentioned just now that that a book was ripped out of your hands, right?
Yeah, I think
Right. I've had that experience once before too. And this is what it came down to me, and because I've gone around the world, wherever I've been, I go to anybody's church. If someone wants to worship God, I go with them. I listen to their indoctrination or whatever they want to, join in it. But I realized since I left the Catholic Church at the age of 13 that the religions are by man, right? That there's a political angle to them. Right, it's about power, it's about control. But, the Word of God doesn't have to be in a building, right? It doesn't have to be anywhere. So I tried to experience anything I could in the world that would talk about God. So I've been to like the Deep South. I had a very good friend and became business partner, an evangelical pastor in New Orleans for the Church of Abundant Life. I've had tongues spoken around me. I've saw many miracles in that church, right?
Oh yeah.
And but I've also been to the gurus, right? Say Sai Baba in India. I've been to his ashram. I've been to and I followed other gurus to see what the message is, right? And I think I had told you once before, in all that time, I've only experienced one time when I dove in and I found an evil entity. And that was when it was talking about Maitreya. And that group was, the channeler was Benjamin Krem. And,
very interesting.
So, I've had an interesting path. I don't want to get too far down into any one of these topics. So these are all big rabbit holes to dive down into. But
so you got someone there in the back.
Yeah. So my she doesn't know I'm recording.
Okay. It's okay.
I normally tell people, but since you said we should record this, it kind of went off. So
that's beautiful. Don't worry. That's beautiful.
So in my life, I've been following these paths and learning, right, and
We
finding
got some
God.
energy in this call.
And God is everywhere, right? There's no place that God isn't, right? It's everywhere,
Oh yeah,
right? And when
it just is.
and so when you said that book got ripped out of your hands, that happened to me one time, and it was when I was reading the Tao of Physics.
Oh, wow.
I struggled to get that book read. I literally, I page by page, interruption after interruption. I think I made it like in the first, less than 20 pages. I made it into the book when it literally flew out of my hands. It's on. I'm the pillow behind my head. I'm holding it in front of me, right on my chest, right, and I'm reading it, and it flies out of my hand across the room.
I love it, man.
So, and this is what I've taken out of this, right? And it wasn't that there was anything bad about the book. It's that my journey was
Correct.
my journey was not to read it out of a book. That's what it meant to me. Right? And so,
Oh yeah,
so
yes.
I since then, and that happened in high school when I read that book, tried to read that book. But any religious text, anything talking about spirituality, any of this stuff, I can't read the books. I mean, if I have this attempt, people give me books. I say, oh yeah, okay, I'll take a look at it. And sometimes I'll get to the preface, but other times the books disappear, or some.
I'll give you a secret.
Yeah.
I'll give you a secret. This is what people don't know, and I'm glad we're talking about it. I feel so much energy in this conversation today. For some reason, just got missed about it. You don't need to read the book ever.
Right.
You grab a hold of the book. The words are just code, and within the code has what we call energetic symbols. It's like a gematria. Gematria, what you call gematria. It's the essence of what these things are built upon. And when you grab hold of the book in your hand, is all that needs to be done for you to absorb all the knowledge of the book. Now, to be able to do that practice, it's not easy. Trust me, it took me maybe a good 40 years of my life to learn. But I'll tell you that it is simple to do, but it is something that's overlooked tremendously in our life. We don't need to read the books. By holding the book in your hand, you will be giving all the information in the book. And I can attest to that because I have literally, I used to have. I kind of like refined my stock to about 500, but I used to have thousands. And I used to tote around with them until one day I started figuring out that I had about half of the books I never read, but when I opened up the books and looked at it, I knew the information inside. Now, one of the things that I figured out, I said, how can this be that I have these things that I've purchased to study and learn, and yet I don't need to open or want to open them up. Yet, if I do get to open them, the information inside is already known. It is the strangest thing. So then I had to deal with that for many, many years until I finally figured that this is the essence of these. In other words, when you type something, a word, a phrase, you speak a phrase or word, you type it in any kind of way that you transmit, impose the letters and symbols or numbers. It carries within it this energy format. It depicts what it is.
Yeah.
It's not in the letters or words. It's in it's you can say it's like a cloud that hovers around.
Well, let me say what my theory is about this in particular. So, when we have ideas in our mind, right, that we're seeing these pictures, where we have this impression of something, that the seed of a creation, right? When we take these thoughts and we put them down on paper, right, and we write out words, or put in a symbol, and we're putting that on paper, that exists and sits there and vibrates, right? It has a vibration.
Multidimensionally,
multidimensionally, and it just sits and it vibrates, and so it is resonating in reality. And the more that we put out there this imagery, and we create our sentences and our paragraphs and our chapters and our books,
yes,
this all then resonates, right? And an energy, right?
Source energy, my friend.
Yes.
Source energy.
And so that book has a whole vibration all to itself. It has all of that. And so if people now incorporated into that gematria or mathematical theorems into way the words are constructed, right? There's another level of vibration that's in there, another level of complexity, another level of creation.
Yes.
And that now is in this form. Now that book is read by one other, and then another, and then another, and each one, it starts vibrating within them, that they get to see that imagery, and it brings everybody together on a particular page that they can all vibrate in synchronicity with. So
what it is that the energy exists in the universe, but what it is self-realization as an experience is what it takes. Once the self-realization happens, then the whole becomes the attribute it understands. It's kind of like the universe as a collective. And when we have these fragments of energy, you can say one could be a what do you call a red star, the universe, the sun pulsating, central core of a galaxy. All these things are energy, parts of energy, fractals that are dimensional, and they radiate through all causes and forms of reality. So when we actually tap into one of these things, if we create, because that's what I tell people, it's actually the act of creation, right?
Yep.
The act of creation. We create this book, and it's in a form, and then it's almost like a living, breathing organism.
Right.
Because
yes,
it's like you can actually grab it, and that's the essence.
No,
what I try to
explain. So the interesting thing about a book, right? You can compare it to, say, like a monument.
Yeah.
So, for example, the pyramid, or the Sphinx, or Stonehenge.
Oh yes, you can go into that too.
Right, because these things are solid. They're sitting there with their vibration, and they're
who shaped them? But who shaped it? Who made it form? You see, maybe a machine poured, let's say, a metal statue. Okay, it's poured, but then there's somebody that took it out of the mold.
Yes,
right?
yes. There's ultimately some one who had the original idea that manifested into their creation of this object of vibration, and these objects.
That's what it has.
Yeah.
Yes.
So now, let me move a little bit further. So now these things are solid; they're unchanging. Right? Because they're sitting there vibrating in one, like a tuning fork. It just vibrates at that frequency because they're solid.
Let me make the point.
Go ahead.
Let me make the point that they're actually not even solid at an atomic structure.
Sure.
We see them as solid, but in reality, it's like 100 million atoms flowing in and out.
Yeah.
And how is it maintaining its shape?
Right. No, it is. It's and we can go down that rabbit hole where nothing is solid, but let's consider that what we know as solid is solid, and the vibration is there. So, but here's where I'm going with this. In a level of technology, right? We have now. So what we're right now in a world where there is social media. That is an ever-evolving conversation and narrative, right? And it's a battle over the narrative is going on right now because it doesn't sit there and vibrate like these books do or the monuments. It sits there in a vibrational, like a piece of lightning going all over the place, right? It's just being pulled this way and that way. It's twisting.
Like a twist.
It's twisting, right? And it's weaving itself, and it's so this level. There's a level of technology that we have now as our new paper, and our new pen, right? But so the initial start of something is a place. So now that's social media. Now we also have, say, a website. So for example. I'm going to, bring this around into a commercial for Gold Grain Coin, right? But so I wanted to create a new path forward, right? New path forward. So I want to create this system that would allow for the governance of the people, the benefit of the people, and the creation of a medium of exchange, right? So the first thing I did was I wrote a white paper. Right now, it's
exactly.
Well, in this case, it's not on paper, right? and it is in a form where I've already done 5 drafts of it, and I'm going to do another draft of it. I'm kind of adding a little. So I wrote this in November. In December, I created a website, right, that laid this all out. Kringle Gold, right? So now it's sitting there and vibrating. And it's not changing, on a day-to-day basis, right?
Remember we talked about writing a letter and setting it aside. It has its resonance and it builds up.
Yes,
that's what it is.
Yeah. So this is why I'm kind of laying this out as kind of a creation. Now, there was an initial piece of this puzzle.
It is.
There was an initial piece to this, how Gold Grain was to function, was through the idea that every individual out there can manifest their own creation with it. Meaning this is a medium of exchange, which has a link to the existing financial world, right? So that by way of acquiring gold for each coin that's minted, right? And that could be now leveraged and used for the benefit of the whole ecosystem. But in building ecosystems, we have to build businesses, right? So the original idea was here that there was that these businesses would come in and become a partner or a distributor or a minting event coordinator. I had all these different names for it, but in essence, they join in, but they take it and use it the way they see fit, and that they can link into the ecosystem as much as they want. So by their own free will, decide how they want to get involved. So
just wanted to mention that the energy in this system is not imbued upon the grain or the coin. It's imbued upon the consciousness that is created to make this thing work. See?
Yes.
That's the That's the beauty of the whole thing. Everybody thinks that, oh, it's the coin, it's this, that's what's great. Oh, we gotta have, but in reality, those things are kind of like what straggles along and folds into place. They're not
so kind of why
the building blocks are.
So this is why this conversation is a little meandering, going a little bit off a little bit, but it has a point to it. Why I kind of went down this road, because I don't often try to make it and talk about this as a as a pitch or a commercial. But today I was talking with a gentleman I've had as a let's say in a group. I have a financial group of people who have been involved in banking and insurance and high level understanding of what's behind the system, right? So he's in that group. So I had this conversation with him today. And we're talking about him opening an office in Ghana, right? But I said, well, it's not about an office of this coin, right? It's your office, and you're going to use this coin. So it's more or less you become a distributor, a partner distributor of this, where you're going to use this for your business, right? And so he sees that, right? So, and this is Richard in London, who's also out of the banking world. He also is, in the same position. We're opening an office in London, right? And then, so this is like the next real step of this is really to get the people to use this as businesses. I built a business called an auction, right? Which is an example, right? It's the first example. So anyway, the reason why I was laying this out is because this is the next evolution of our ability to manifest. It's all in this technology internet system and be able to communicate. And now everyone can do what they want, right? There's nothing stopping us, right, anymore, right? It's just about participation. It's about joining it or in creating your idea of how you want to create a business. So anyway, I don't want to go down too much further down that road, but that's why I see that when we're in this world today, we're manifesting a way to control the narrative with say the United News Channel, with the efforts to create a new financial system, with the efforts to change how the health of the world is reacting with these entities that are obviously not for our health, but it's for controlling. We're reacting against them, so we have to build an alternative. We have to do something that is more along the lines of a human-centric system, right? And I see decentralization as the key to that, right? Opposed to, say, the central banking system, or opposed to the World Health Organization that's all centralized, where then it gets corrupted by these power systems.
It's really delicate. What we're looking at for our future is our consciousness imbued in creating sets of energies and formats. We at the moment think that everything we do has to be recorded and placed in a format and everything, but in reality, the true essence of formats and creation requires mostly your heart consciousness. And when we imbue something that we're doing with that, we actually create that reality. It's kind of like, let's say you're walking down the street and you walk underneath a coconut tree. If you say to yourself, well, let me move over because I don't want to go underneath the coconut tree because the coconut might fall on me, and you don't move over and the coconut does fall on your head, what just happened?
You created the situation where you would have a coconut fall on your head.
The reality.
You manifested
exactly. So we're looking at that. Exactly. And let me tell you something. That happened to my dad. my dad was walking and we were working in the yard, and he goes, God, if I go underneath this tree, a coconut's going to fall on me. And bam, a coconut fell and hit him on the head. Right there instantly. And then when it happened, I said, Dad, did you? He says, what happened? He says, oh, I said that if I go underneath the tree, a coconut was going to fall on me. And it did. And I go, see, I told you can't create and manifest like that. And I tell him, I said, look, you got to think of what you want to create and create it. So we're at that stage. This is what you see, we have to say to ourselves, I want abundance. Anybody listening now to this, if we get this to a recording, everybody has to say to themselves, I want abundance. If you don't say that to yourself, you're not going to walk into it, walk underneath it. It's not going to fall on you see? And that's what we're talking about. And let me tell you, with that abundance, there's a lot of little, how would you say, perks that you can have with it. You can have a coin system, so that, and I'll say it flat out, you can play with it. Because that's what it is, because in reality, this life that we live in, we should be able to enjoy it and actually play our experiences. Do you think it's for us to live a tortured and suffered life? Damn, do you think that's what's made for us? Or are we supposed to have, are we created to have an abundance and a life that's real, full of truth and love? Of course we're supposed to have that.
Yeah, we're supposed to have abundance. We're supposed to live in a vibration that's positive, loving, and caring. And though we know that there has been a matrix that's been formed around us, I mean, as I was describing to you earlier at the beginning of our, before we started recording, is this woman who did a video and talked very coherently, very clear about the situation, also very, emotional, because she knows about why the matrix is set up in the way to create a prison planet. And why this is,
yes,
and why it's there, why they harvest psychic children, right? And the ones that are more awake right now are the ones that are more psychic. And we've slipped through the cracks, right?
This is a fight for their children. This is a fight. And do you want to be part of the fight, this battle? It's not going to be, like you say, a bed of roses, only because it's made where we got to walk over nails.
Yeah.
And we got to walk over fire of coals.
Yeah. If you shatter the glass on the window to go through, we're going to be stepping on some glass. We just have to, go through, because we're saving children, right? And that's saving us.
Yes.
And that saves us, right? We're saving the children, saves us. And
it gives us the wisdom we need. In reality, this abundance course that, and I have to say it, and I'm not advertising. It's causing us to create a reality where we can actually observe and learn and get experience. You see, we have to create within ourselves the experiences so that we can gain wisdom. If let's say, one of the first things that they did with us, what is the thing that they did when the COVID-19 came out? Everybody has to stay home. They don't want you to create or manifest anything.
Well, and even in home, you're supposed to stay 6 feet away from your loved ones, and wear a mask.
Social distancing.
And wear a mask.
And you should wear a mask at home. So I'm looking at this. It's like me. You are rejected from society. This is what's being created. The actual opposite of abundance. And we need to wake up to that reality and see that we need to wake up and look around and say, wow, there's a bunch of people shooting rifles and guns and everything. And what's happening? People, let me tell you, Black Lives Matter has created in all the democratic states, and there are good people in that group, but there are some that are in it that shouldn't be in it.
Well, most of the people. First, when we're talking about it's a very small group. It is.
Yes.
It's made to look huge, but within that group, most of the people have the idea that they're trying to do something good, right?
Yes.
Most of them, are not aware of the implication of what they're doing is a Marxist communist plot to destroy the country. Some of them.
Yeah.
Some of them have the idea that it's a good thing to tear down the country because it's so bad, right? And who taught them that? Well, the school system, the matrix, for the purpose of tearing down the system.
It's not a good thing to kill a child like they did the other day. I posted it on my parlor.
Yeah.
It's not. You know how much tears that caused me to even think about it.
Yeah.
I can't think about something. You know what I did today all morning is I posted videos on how cops save babies. And I posted like 3 or 4 of them, and then I posted on the Love channel 3 or 4 of them. And you know why? Because there was cops there that, and there were, let me tell you, there were black couples that had their baby with an issue, and they gave it to a white police officer. And that white police officer, guess what he did? He immediately did the CPR. I was like, wow. You know something? I was in tears for hours watching the videos and posting because I couldn't take it. You know why? Because we don't realize what's going on. They want us to be in our little home, secluded, and we have to live an abundant life. We cannot no longer be still and watch. This is not a movie that we're watching, right, Dan? This is not a movie.
Yeah, no,
this is reality.
This is reality, and
this is a battle.
It is solid, as we understand solid, right? So this is something we need to, take hold of. We have to take action. We have to do our part. We have to take our steps. We have to grab anything that's just even bending somebody's ear for a little while, or putting a like, or passing on a video, or joining Parler, or doing any of those things. My Parler link is right down below in the description of the video. And all of these little things, right? Even me saying that, right? Even me saying, hey, my link for Parler is down below in the video. That is a little step, a little vibration, a little push to go in the direction. And everybody does this, and that's why when you're reading the book, or you're picking up on the symbolism on a monument, or you're resonating with the social media strain. This is all a flow of energy that we're moving in a direction that creates the new reality that we're all looking to go forward in.
We project the energy from our hearts outward. All the things that we touch. Touch someone. Touch anything. It doesn't matter if it's physical or not. At this moment, we have to deal with a lot of physicalities, right there. We need to actually go out there and, hey, no more masks.
Yeah, no more masks. I mean, I'm sending officials here in the Philippines articles and saying, why are we wearing masks? Why is there a lockdown? The virus can't exist from the first day of the lockdown in the Philippines. It cannot exist outdoors.
I'm going to go ahead. Yeah, we have to go. You know what we have to do? I have a mayor. I have a mayor of Miami-Dade. I have a mayor of Color Bay. I have mayors. I have mayors, and I have I have those state attorneys we have. We also have governors. we can get your pen and make this energy in this letter, imbue it with the intention of what's happening and how you disapprove. Send it to them so they realize it. You can even send it anonymous. But it's best to act not in fear. It's best to act with love. Because let me tell you, it'll cancel any kind of energy coming at you. When love will conquer all before it. Because love is what Source imbues upon us all. It is the love and the light. So when you want this battle is consider yourself an angel. And this is what I saw in some of these videos there, is that one person, after they saved their child, they said that was the cop, the police officer was an angel.
Yeah. Because
he saved my child. You know what? We all can become angels. Dan, Tank, all of us can become angels. And you know who we're going to save? We're going to save the children of the planet. Because they're being right now tormented and killed. Do not go deep into that, because it's tough.
Yeah.
And something has to give. Something has to go.
Yeah,
we need to imbue our energy as a being. Okay? So, probably Tank has talked about this a lot, but what we're talking today is about putting that everything we do has a consequence, right, Dan?
Everything. It's even the laws of physics, right? It's a thermodynamics. There's always an equal and opposite reaction to everything that you do, right? But that's on this level, right? There's equal and opposite, but there's also an equal and opposite, but in an energetic way, at higher levels of vibration, right? That are magnified, because of the aspect that they go across dimensions. That this energy is a vibration that is, pulling everything together. And when you do any little step, it has a big step. Now, if you're taking steps with other people, you have one person walking in a direction, there is an effect. When you have 1,000 people walking in the same direction, there's 1,000 times that effect, right? And there's even,
you built the ecosystem that you have. This is how you viewed upon it, the ecosystem. As there are more participants,
right,
the more stronger the system becomes. And this is how we have to build things in our life.
Yeah.
We cannot build things, create our reality to our demise. Remember, everything's the butterfly effect.
Yeah.
Everything, any little thing you do is the butterfly effect. You could do something to someone, and 10 years from now, it does what it needs to do. But it took 10 years to do it.
Yeah.
You could, right now, it's like a tree. It's like, think of yourself as Johnny Appleseed. You planted all those apples, but you weren't going to reap them. You were going to pass away. Your children were going to pass away. And then maybe your grandchildren were going to look at those apples and go, how delicious they are, and grab one and eat it. But you know what? You planted for your grandchildren. What are we doing now for our future now?
Right. Yeah. What are you going to do?
That's a double dundrum.
Yeah. Well, just take the step, right? Make your effort, right? Move forward. Like this video. Make a positive comment. Share it.
Paths forward.
Yeah. Comment on my parlor.
when we decide to do something, just go ahead, do it.
Yep.
We have at the moment hundreds and hundreds of potential people that watch these videos that we're doing, and they're still waiting to see what they can do. And I tell you what, do your part. Shed some tears. Yeah, it's okay to shed tears. It's okay to be emotional. It's okay. You know what? When you become emotional, it's when some things get done sometimes. Because it takes our heart to be moved in ways that we don't even understand yet, to be able to do and accomplish the things that we yet to see or understand also. So all is a possibility, and none is not. When we're doing things straight from source, receive what He has to give us, receive what the universe has. There's a lot of love.
Yes, it is.
To be felt and to be given. And I can testify to that. If anybody here needs to feel love, you don't need to go too far other than within yourself. It's abundant. It has many paths. It's full of, it's gold.
Yeah.
It's all the things that you think are precious in your life.
Yeah.
So we take these things lightly, but it's again, whatever which we choose to do, you can add to it. Like you said, if you post something on Parler, click that little like button, click the echo.
Yeah, echo it.
If you can, write a comment. If you can, when you write a comment, again, we were talking about it creates this energy field. It's self-sustaining within itself. What do you think it is? It's like a cloud. It's like, where is all this energy going? How many videos you think are on YouTube? What do you think they are? You think they are here in this dimension?
They're just like the extension of what we were talking about. We have the writings, books, monuments, symbols. All these things sit there and resonate. So a finished video sitting on YouTube sits there and resonates, and more views come in. Where now we have this new medium in which we're able to write our books. We're going to put our ideas, but now we have an interactive ability with it, right? We have the people can comment, right? We have the people that can share.
Yes.
We have the ability for you to now be prompted to do your own video within the same, assisting the energy, going in the same direction, synchronizing with it. So we create, we keep creating, we're creating, and we're there, right? The other system is dying. The thing is that they designed a system to die, right? It's all about death. It's a death culture. It's meant to extract, as a parasite does, from the energy, and for them to keep harvesting that.
Yeah.
But they designed the system to die, right? So that they could build it again from scratch, because they go onto a new body, right? But this time, we're awake. This time, we recognize the trap, the matrix. We recognize what they've been doing is stealing from us, right? Being parasite. They're not doing it in synchronicity. They're not doing it in a way that's beneficial to both parties, right? It's only for their own benefit. So that is being is dying and is almost dead. Though the people in it are now in fear, because now they haven't been in this position before, to where all around everything is closing in on them, and they have no access to funds anymore. They have the people are not listening to the media that's trying to program people to act in a certain way. People are waking up, and now it's quite different, right? This is not something that they're able to deal with. That's why we have all these CEOs that are stepping down, by the hundreds of top level CEOs.
Yes.
By the hundreds, they're stepping down. Why? Because
I can testify to that. This week I went to try to work with stocks and stuff at the banks, and every bank I went to said no. They don't want to deal with anybody anymore, and they're at skeleton crew. The banks right now are at a standstill. And the only bank that was able to service me is, guess what? A bank that services the elite of where I live at.
Right.
So
Chase.
that's the irony of the whole thing.
Chase, one of the top. You take there's a top 40 banks well known around the world, right? Top 40 banks. This is Cabal Center, right? So these are going to be the banks that that have been so ingrained into doing things that way. Right, and that is the system, right? That's this pyramid structure. They're gonna be the top.
Chase,
They have all the feeder banks below them. It's a system, right? And to recognize what was built by them, a system that sat there and resonated. It resonated in a parasitic way, always to extract. You ever feel good standing in the line in the bank, no matter how pretty they make it, or if they serve you coffee in line, or give you a toaster? Do you feel good being in the bank? No.
It always felt mechanical, like it's a kind of extraction device. It wasn't like, oh, I feel so loving, or you walk out with a loving warmth in yourself. No, you never had that at a bank.
Right. Yeah.
And it should have been, But these banks of the future that we are to encounter soon are going to be that way.
Yep.
Where they'll be with us personally.
Yep.
We will feel the warmth.
Well, this banking has to be re-engineered, right? What a bank is supposed to do, how it acts, and how it benefits the people, right? It has to be re-engineered into a way that it's working for everybody, not just for the people at the top of the pyramid. We're
not talking about RV or Nasera or Jasera.
No. Jasara. Yeah. You say Jasera, I say Jasara. Jasara. So, Nasera, Nasara, these things, are constructs of a creation of reality that people that are either to handle a certain number of people, to get people looking in the wrong direction, or not.
They're repositories for the energies of people, so they can deposit them in it, and then they get nothing out of it.
Right.
But they stole their energy. That's all it is.
Yeah.
So how many years are there's? I know some people that have been in that RV thing for a decade.
Yeah.
And
I was in it. I was in it big time.
How much energy is that? How much?
Well, going to China 20 times in 18 months, spending countless hours on documentation and creation. Yeah, it's like in the Matrix. You can look at it like a motherboard on a computer, right? It's a big system that's created. Now, certain times, if you have too much heat coming in a certain area, like the processor's producing, or the co-processor, or the graphics processor, you put a heat sink on it. You put a memory. You put a heat sink on it. So these systems, they have this heat coming up, that's disturbing their flow of energy, right? So what they put is a heat sink on it. So a NESARA heat sink, a JSARA heat sink, a GCR heat sink. It's to capture all of this energy and dissipate it, right, in a way so that it's not harming their system, or to channel it.
Yeah, right? I know.
They channel the heat and to create another for their next venture, right? So, the GCR was set up in a way to channel energy to a new system, right? But have that GCR be the responsible party in destroying the old one and would take all the blame.
Right? I even went and bought some dong, but only $100 worth, just in case. Because that's how much I. But you know what got me out of the whole thing is I bumped into a video of Tank explaining one very simple thing, that it all was a hoax. Yeah. So believe me, do your part, and everything's a butterfly effect, and it caused an avalanche of effects. Where I'm here with Dan making this video now. So that's the effect that it has. So do not consider yourself a minor part of anything. They want you to. The forces that are darkness want you to think that you're so puny. Anything you do is insignificant. Yeah. That you cannot end up as anything, and that you're valueless.
Well, you have to use your critical thinking skills, right? Even if they're undeveloped, you have to start developing those muscles. You have to think of things critically. It means you have to be a critic of the things that you're doing. So if you're doing something over and over again and you're not getting a different result, that's what they say is or Einstein said is insanity, right? Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. So, when I was in the GCR, I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to get the clarity on how does this system work? How is it supposed to function? How does a high-level system supposed to balance their books of all the debt? So I'm trying to figure it out, right? I'm using graphs. I'm writing out these theorems on how these things are supposed to work, right? And I said, this is not making sense.
Your canoodle work.
Sure. Yeah, I'm putting out some major energy, trying to, I'm talking with some top level people, right? Leaders of the world, of the people of the different industries, of, the military, and it's like they're all in it, right? But when it's not working.
I want to make one important thing about this whole thing. You had still the right intention. You know what it was? You wanted to help humanity out. Yes. And even though you were on a path that was obviously the one that needed to be on,
right?
You were directed to the right path.
No, most definitely. Even my venture into Swiss Indo and how I ended up there, that was a mystical adventure. And I mean it in a way that there was literally... I had my intuition was to. I've told this story several times, and I'll tell it briefly. Right now, is in my leaving the country, the U.S. to go to the Philippines. I didn't want to take these certain shirts. Right, I didn't wear them anymore. I got them from Thailand. They were silk. Mostly because after wearing them, they start smelling, right? That's why I didn't want to, because the silk kind of holds the smell in some way, and I just didn't like it, right? So that's why I didn't want to bring it. But I kept nagging at me while I'm packing. Usually I pack my bag in 30 minutes, and I'm out the door. I was packing for hours, and I just couldn't keep deciding why do I want to bring my suits. I never bring my suits. This thing's nagging. I did not bring my suits. I didn't bring them. But when I left, my daughter's driving me to the airport. We're pulling out the driveway. I stop and I say, "Wait a minute!" I run in the house and I get the shirts and I throw them in my suitcase. and I leave. Right, I never wore them until the entire already a month out of this on this trip. I'm on my way to Laos to meet with Swiss Indo, meet with Bapak Suki, who's the head of Swiss Indo, and I don't know anything about more than I want to learn about historical bonds. That's why I went there. Right? They didn't know what they were doing there in Swiss Indo. I really didn't get any of their. But when I got there, I met with him. It took 2 weeks to meet with him, and I sit down and in the morning I'm to meet with him. They said, because they've already delayed it on a daily basis, where 3 days later you can meet. I kept waiting. I'm waiting. So still nothing, right? So I'm just waiting. I'm enjoying Laos, not Laos, but Laos, because in Laos they call it Lao. They don't call it Laos. That's a Laosi name. You don't call it Laos. So, and while that morning they were coming to pick me up, they delayed. They said, "Oh, we'll be there in 2 hours." They delayed it again another 2 hours, and then I'm ready from 8 a.m. They come around 1 in the afternoon, 2 in the afternoon, and they say, "Oh, they're here in the lobby. Come down from your room." So I leave the room, heading down, and I get this overwhelming feeling. I got to wear the shirt. So I went and put back on the shirt. Right, and I went and I sat down, went with them, got into the beautiful mansion that he was in, and a big office with a big desk, and sat there in front of him, and he had his Ministry of Finance right next to him, and Annie Forrest, and he looks at me, and then he turns over and taps her on the shoulder, and he says, "Elephants," and he turns back to me, and he says, "It's a very good sign. Your shirt has elephants on it." And he said, "Nobody gets to meet." Yeah, he said, "Nobody gets to meet me, right? But the only reason you're sitting here is because God put you in front of me." And I said, "Yes, I know. I follow God's path, and I wouldn't be sitting here unless God put you in front of me on my path." And then I told him the story that I just told you about the shirts, right? And so that was a very spiritual path, right? That feeling was there that I'm on the right path, right? Now, I don't know. Now, after a couple of journeys back and forth to Laos and the Philippines, and meeting with them, and doing some interviews, which one went viral, and then I saw the effect of being shut down on YouTube by a viral video that was going 4,000 views an hour, and then it got dropped down to 0, and then down to 200 views an hour. So it was amazing to see that happen in front of my eyes. But then, I went from there after about 4 months, and I never went back after that. After I went to China, and while going to China, it was all about learning about the historical bonds, about the financial system. I learned a lot about the financial system while I was in Swiss Indo, learning from what they were presenting. So that was my path, right? That was the journey that I needed to take to get to the understanding of what was going on in the world on the financial level, like how the world economies came together. How did the United Nations form? How did the IMF, World Bank, and Bank of International Settlements, and the Federal Reserve, and the Vatican Bank, and how's that all tied together? Why is it tied together? What is its purpose?
You get into one important thing of this whole conversation, is that even the bad experiences that we go through, they do teach us, as we experiencing something that is of value to us. We won't know it at the moment, but it does texture and condition our heart to be able to see and feel things that it might not have been able to do before the experience, the bad experience, or even what it could happen with a good experience. It could happen to all experiences. You see, we cannot throw out the bath of water with the child just because the water is dirty. You get the point. You know?
Yeah.
We throw.
Well, no, I was
the
on
child out with the basketball because we think, okay, the water's dirty. But you see,
I've had this perspective, of understanding that the world financial system was this, Illuminati pyramid, structure, Federal Reserve, scarecrow entity with birth certificate. I've had this whole understanding since I was 16, right? And I've had a lifetime of doing business to understand how to function within that system, right? To harness it as much as possible, to maneuver as much as possible in order to try and create abundance. But realizing the system was presenting itself as a what I call open architecture system. I mean, here's all of this is the level playing field. Here's all your tools. You go out and you make it happen. To then realize that there is systems in place to prevent you. So, for instance, the tax system. The more you make, the more they take. Right? Extraordinarily much more. Right?
But you can say your paths that you have taken is like a triathlon.
Sure.
Each time you finish one section, you're passing the baton to something else.
Yeah.
And that's how it is. You can't look at it as just one race. You have to look at it.
Well, I've been pacing myself. I've been pacing myself in this race for a while. Now it's time to turn on the afterburners and go full throttle and head for the finish line.
So you're at the last point where humanity as a species is entering the last stages of its existence, where you're gonna have to. It's a flight mode right now. It's not a let's relax and let's watch TV. Let's watch on Netflix. This show's coming on. It's awesome, and just be like, oh wait, let's binge and watch a whole series this whole day. I mean, we're not in that position. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome to do it because I've done it, but it's not good to do it. Let's admit we've all done it.
Yeah,
it's nothing. It's so easy to fall into that to complacency. So you can't. You have to. He's ready to go and burn the afterburn.
Yeah, and these kind of also becomes habitual. These type of actions, of falling in line with the matrix, right? It's a habit. It's comfortable. You know it. You feel good while you're doing it, right? Because you don't have
cigarettes. It's like smoking cigarettes, man.
Yeah, they're addictive.
Yeah. It's addictive, man.
Yeah, so you could do this. I'll tell you that I canceled my Netflix subscription.
Yeah. You know why I started Netflix, Mike? I started it to see a lot of the realities that are going on.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, they give a lot of, and that was it. But I don't really go into it as you can't.
Right. Well, it's so, if you go back 20 years ago and try and find cannibalism on any kind of programming or anything, you won't find anything about it. The closest you're going to get would be vampires and zombies. Right?
That's it. They wanted to see that, yeah.
But now it's like then they made the vampires sexy, right? Oh, and hey, you might want to become a vampire too, right?
She's like, what's that? Elvira.
Oh well, yeah. Well, that was the beginning stage. The young guys are all, Elvira is pretty hot, So
and one of the next ones, which. And this is what I'm saying. It's an evolved condition.
Evolved conditioning, yes. So now it's the Santa Clara diet. It's the iZombies. It's now all of these other things to make cannibalism like and here's a restaurant in LA, saying that they're serving up humans.
Anyway, you want to get something so close? You got all these people selling bone, bone soup thing. Where you buy it at the store. Where do you think they're getting those bones? They say it's getting them from here, but you don't know where it's coming from. For me, that's mystery bones. So we don't. There are things being done to us.
Yeah.
We don't even realize.
Yeah. Well, that is true. We don't know what is in these big corporate systems and grocery stores. We do not know what's being served when we can't see it happening, right? So
we don't know, and it's not us being paranoid. It's not.
No, they're telling us. They're telling us that's what they're doing. They've said it.
Telling us that's what they're doing.
They've said it. They
admitted to it. Yes.
Admitted to it, and they say it in a way, and then they laugh about it, and they put it as part of their ceremonies, right? And even the wearing of the masks is a ceremony, right? It's a ceremony of a sign of submission. It has no benefit to you other than for them to basically change who you are, to get you to be in fear, to change what that a little bit more of this programming on a spiritual basis, right? That, and I'm not talking about, worshiping in a church and that be about spiritual, but about a level of changing your energy to be in this submissive, fearful state. That's what they want. But we're fighting back and we're winning, right? We have the governor of Georgia basically just said, no mayor can tell to create any kind of law to enforce people to wear masks anywhere. We're fighting back, right? And this is what it takes. We're all waking up to what's been going on, and we're going to have some very tough realities to deal with as that happens. It's going to be horrific on such a level. We have to protect our children that are still innocent from it. We have to remember to do that. Because there is, the children can't handle these things in a way that doesn't harm them. So we have to protect them from this, we have to save the other children that are already in this part of the dark matrix, right? And we have to care and love them and bring them and help them as much as possible, bring light to them.
Yes,
and that's
not all people in this state of, you can say, confusion are really sinister. They're not. Some of them are just misplaced. I even call them misplaced souls. They're just not in the place they need to be. Right.
Right.
It's misplaced. That's all. It's like you misplace your keys. Well, until you find it, you can't use the car, but you got to look for it. So
Yep.
we have to look for these souls too, and in the path of walking forward, we're going to encounter them. You will encounter them. You have good intentions. You're going to pull them into. They will fall upon you and fall on your path.
Yep.
You will have to bump into them. That's the way it is. No ifs, ands, or buts. All right.
Good.
I think I don't want to keep the conversation too long.
Yeah. We probably should end it about here.
Thanks all for listening.
Join us in building our new path forward. Go to goldgraincoin.com and you can get your grains. Each grain is equal to 1 grain of gold. It's just like having gold on your cell phone. You can also participate in our Grains.bid auction site, where you can win grains at auction. It's an exciting way to get grains. You can win at up to 98% off. It's pretty easy. Just click the bid button. A few seconds will be added to the timer, and the price will increase by 1 penny. In the end, the highest bidder wins. Just pay the auction price and take your grains. It's pretty simple. Go register, buy your bids, and then bid to win. 3 ways in which you can get your bids. As I said, you can buy your bids at 50 cents a piece. Just open an account and go into the back office and purchase bids. You can win your bids at auction. There are several bid voucher packages in the auctions, and then you can bid and win. You can also get gifted bids. Participate in our referral program. Refer others to our grain auctions and you will be gifted bids equal number to the bids purchased by your referral. It's that easy. Hope to see you there soon.